Welcome to the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube, Hot Garbage Sports with me, Coach Ryan D. Oilers finally bust the slump by beating the Columbus Blue Jackets handedly 5-2. They end up going up 4-0 in this game. We're going to talk about what made this game so special. We're going to talk about why the Edmonton Oilers got out of their slump, and then I'm going to leave you with a couple teasers for our next Oiler videos, because today we are going to drop 3 Oiler videos. You're going to love them. You're going to want to stay tuned. Smash subscribe, smash like. Join us, Oiler fans. We're going to talk about everything going on in oil country right now. Let's get after it. So what was the story of this game and what made this game different than every other game? Well, the Oilers have 2 key strengths, 3 key weaknesses, unfortunately. The 2 biggest strengths of the Oilers are their power play. It's the best in the NHL. Hard stop, period, end of story. They also have the fastest transition game in the NHL. They are the quickest at getting from their own zone into the opposing team's zone and scoring on the rush and doing damage there. Edmonton jumps out to an early lead, and early leads off the back of the power play to beautiful goals by Puljujarvi end up giving the Oilers the swagger and confidence they need. Team, Oiler Nation, you need to have confidence to play the game with speed, and Edmonton plays the game with speed. In the last 6 games, they've had absolutely no confidence because they've been shellacked in their own zone. So Edmonton getting out to 2 quick ones on the 5-on-3 power play was super key at them winning the game. Look what happens when the boys get some confidence. Puljujarvi puts in those 2. I mean, anyone could have put in those 2. He was just standing there at that point, but that is what you're going to pay this guy to do. Let Draisaitl, McDavid do the damage. Puljujarvi use that big body, get to the net. But as soon as those 2 goals went in, the swagger went up, and the next 2 goals that weren't scored by the big line ended up happening because they had the confidence to finally have some swagger and drive the middle of the ice, slash those lanes, go to the net, and get those goals to put this game out of reach at 4-0. Let's go take a look at a couple of those power play goals. Then I'll show you how that ends up transitioning them into scoring those next 2 goals. Then we'll leave it at that today. Okay, team? Let's go. All right, goal number 1. They're working the puck up at the top of the ice right now. You actually want to work this puck a little bit lower, but they get a favorable bounce off the wall that Puljujarvi ends up putting in. He doesn't miss. It's an awesome shot that you end up keeping low. He's looking to shoot through a screen, and they miss it. Puck bounces off, ends up going in. On a normal 5-on-3 on this one, you actually do want to get the pucks to the shooters and look for cross seam passes, not for point shots. You want to look for the shot, not just a shot like a 5-on-4. But in this instance, it ends up working for the Oilers. They just needed something to go in. It ends up going in. Luckily, it ends up going in early because they still have time on the clock to make it 2-0. 5-on-4 is a little bit different. This is where you want to get your point shots going, your shooter shots going, get stuff to the net, traffic to the net, and end up scoring. They end up slashing through the middle with a beautiful, favorable bounce. And then what's hilarious about the 5-on-4 is it's the exact opposite. You saw there on that clip, they were doing cross seam passes like it's their job. They were attacking the front of the net like it was their job. So ironically, they both work. On a 5-on-3, you want to do what they did on the 5-on-4. On the 5-on-4, you want to do what they did on the 5-on-3. But there's no actual special way to score on a power play. A power play, there are setups and tendencies, but this is definitely the area you just want to let the boys play and take the ice that they see and the opportunities that they see, get creative, and start getting pucks to the net. So when we talk about power plays and penalty kills in this, penalty kills are hyper structured, whereas power plays, they're a lot more loose. They're a lot more loose, and you want to let this team be loose so they can end up scoring. And luckily, they end up getting 2. And that's all she wrote in this game at this point, because the swagger goes through the roof. Derek Ryan ends up scoring this goal, and finally some help comes from the bottom 6 here at Edmonton. And you can see, look at the speed they like to slash in the neutral zone with. Now, what you saw there was an example of a 3-on-2 and what you don't want to do. You don't want to just start batting pucks away at a 3-on-2. You want to control them. That doesn't happen. It ends up causing a turnover that we see right here at the blue line. Edmonton's going to check up beautifully. They're going to try to dump the puck in. Nice little lucky bounce. They end up driving the net. So we see here a second opportunity for Columbus in order to clear this out. They don't do it. They end up moving the puck up the wall. Ryan goes to the net, and that is what I mean about slashing the middle and driving the net. A goal like that is a missed chance of unfortunate events for Columbus that Edmonton can actually notice, take advantage of, and then they push the net with a lot of confidence. A goal like that doesn't happen if you don't get the first 2 goals where you're rolling on swag, you're rolling on confidence. That gives you the ability to try to pressure and push, and that's what ends up happening. So Columbus has the opposite. They're very unconfident with the puck at there. They cause a turnover twice, actually. Edmonton takes advantage of that and puts it in the back of the net. That's some of the best things that the Oilers can do in the NHL. Here we go. Here's an example of the Edmonton Oilers of putting it out of reach. But here's a better example of what makes the Edmonton Oilers so darn deadly when they are on their game, and that is their zone breakout. They always leave with 4, and you can count them here. There's 4. We call this 4 up. You're actually pressuring. The defenseman is jumping into the play, behaving like a forward at this point. Edmonton needs to push, push, push. That is what makes Edmonton so good, and they do just a beautiful example of that here with their 4 up. You can see they get pinched off at the line. Their 5th guy ends up stepping up, and now that defenseman is replaced by another defenseman, and they're 4 up the ice again. Now we're attacking with 4 again, and that is a key to scoring goals here. Now, what would happen in this instant without swagger or confidence is the 3 Oilers that you see currently in the high slot right now, you wouldn't end up driving the net. You'd feel like your feet are in sand. You don't have a lot of confidence. You're holding your stick a little too tight. Pucks end up jumping over the stick. You don't end up generating chances that way. But because the Oilers are loose, they're having fun at this point right now. You see them go to the dirty areas. They slash the middle of the ice. Perlini ends up pushing in, and he ends up finding it's a tough rebound for a goalie. I mean, this is a really tough puck to not allow a rebound in. Columbus gets caught puck watching here, and they end up shelving it. It's a beautiful goal, and this all happens due to confidence, loose sticks and hands, and swagger. And mentality when you play this game is a big deal. Having confidence when you play this game is an absolutely massive deal. And you need confidence to play in the power play, and you need confidence to play in the transition zone. So when that stuff's working, you're going to feel like you're having confidence. So Oiler fans, what we're going to break down in more detail in the next videos today is we're going to talk about how that confidence ends up getting shot, because you build confidence from great goaltending. You build confidence from really good D-zone play. That allows your confidence to not be shattered. When goals aren't going in on you, when opposing teams are slashing the middle, your goalie is controlling rebounds, that allows you to build the confidence to play in the offensive zone. We call it the work zone, the fast zone, and then the fun zone. You don't get to go to the fun zone until you work, go fast, then you can go have fun. We talk about this in hockey all the time. Well, when Edmonton was getting trapped in their 6-game losing streak, frankly, they weren't doing very well in their D zone. They weren't getting any goaltending help at that point, and that shatters your confidence. And when you don't have a confidence, you can't score. This is a chicken and the egg scenario. So if Edmonton can get out to early leads and get confidence back in their game, they hadn't had the lead for a very long time before this game. It had been a very long time, and that can really start messing with your psyche. So the keys to the Oilers' success right now, if they make no changes at the trade deadline, we're going to talk about all that in the next couple videos today. They have to get out and score first. As soon as Edmonton scores first, their confidence goes through the roof, and they start building on themselves, and they have an ability to score. Why does the bottom 6 end up not scoring in slumps? Well, if the big 6, especially the big 2, if they go cold, the bottom 6's confidence gets a little bit, and Dave Tippett, he's not the best guy at rolling his lines equally. So what happens to players' psyches when you don't get the ice time you're expecting? You start thinking you're having a bad game. You start thinking it's me. You start thinking I'm the problem. And when you start thinking that, you don't have the confidence to play. So when the 3rd and 4th line end up actually going out there, they're not playing very good, and it just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. And that's what ended up happening to Edmonton. Ended up happening to Edmonton playing the Jets in the series last year as well too. When Tippett mismanages his roster and doesn't give enough ice time to balance out the rest of the guys, it ends up getting in their head. It happened to Ethan Bear. Ethan Bear didn't get enough ice time in game 4 last year. He ends up finally getting out there, and when he finally gets out there, it's like, ah! He coughs it up and the puck goes in the net, and that's all she wrote. Sweep. That is what was happening in this slump as well too. But we're going to get more detailed into that in the next one. So Oilers fans, stick with us.